A little while ago now, I covered the absolute mess that was the F1 drop score system and explored the fact that on at least 2 occasions, the guy who scored the most points over the course of the season didn't actually win the World Championship. And if this is your first time hearing about that kind of thing, I know. How is it that the guy who scores the most points doesn't win the title? And this was actually the case in 1988. Alain Prost scored 105 points to Senna's 90, but Senna won the championship, so the drop scores made that 90 place 87. So for some time now, I've been thinking about what would happen if you took some of the more recent seasons, say from the late 2000s or so, or even the start of the last decade, and apply some drop scores there as well, just to see if anything changes. And for this, I've picked 5 seasons to go through: 1994, 2008, 2010, 2012, and 2016. And at the time of writing this portion of the script, I haven't actually worked out the point system, so when I get the result, I'll then write them into the script, and then obviously I'm talking to you right now. So basically what I'm trying to say is I haven't picked seasons that change the results to suit the fact that it would be my driver or whatever winning the championship. And if you've watched this channel for a while, you'll know that my maths is absolutely awful. So what I'm going to do is invite you, the viewer, to sort of add your own analysis, because I'll put the results up and which ones were dropped. And then you'll be able to identify, oh, that's where the season changed. You know, him having that drop score there mess things about. You know, you see what's what. TLDR, my brain can't handle it. So to start, we will start with the 1994 Championship, a title that was settled by a single point and was decided by a move by Michael Schumacher on Damon Hill, and that move is still debated to this day, although the more it gets shown, the more I'm convinced it wasn't deliberate. It was also a season marred by the deaths of Roland Ratzenberger and Ayrton Senna, and if you look at the amount of crashes that season, you could have been looking at more deaths on top of the 2 that actually happened. Anyway, like I said, the title was settled in Adelaide over a 16-race season, and just like in the 1990 season when the last time the drop score rule was used, we will use the best 11 results of those 16. And on your screen now are the final results. And just for simplicity in this one, we will take Schumacher and Hill scores and disregard the rest, as they were so far ahead nobody else would have been within a shot of taking the title. So we have to eliminate the worst 5 results, which will be shown in red. So Schumacher, we take out his win in Jerez, his 2 second places in Spain and Japan, and his retirement at Australia. And the reason we've taken one of his wins is because, well, there aren't any worse results, except for his disqualifications at Silverstone and Spa and subsequent no races because he was banned. But I'm not sure the FIA would have counted them anyway. For Damon, we remove his retirements at Aida and Monaco, his 6th place at Imola, his 8th at Hockenheim, and his retirement in Adelaide. Because we've taken DNFs and finishes outside of the points, Damon only loses 1 point, and that's for the 6th place. It was a different scoring system in those days, but Schumacher loses a whopping 22. He loses 10 points for the win in Jerez, and he loses 12 because of the 2 second places he scored as well that we've taken off. So the final score, 90 for Hill and 70 for Schumacher, making Damon the 1994 champion. Which I guess is to be expected because Michael was disqualified from 2 races and then no-showed for 2 because he was banned. Moving on, we find ourselves in 2008, another championship settled in controversial circumstances. But it's not controversy, Glock was just on the wrong tyres. And on your screen is the final point standings, with Hamilton there as champion and Massa in second, with that 1 point separating them. Now the season here was 18 races, so we're following the same format as 1994. Worst 5 races are dropped, so it's the best 13 races that count. We're once again knocking 5 races off everybody's tally. Well, just Hamilton and Massa's in this case. For the 2008 season, we're ditching Hamilton's scores in Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy and Japan, while Felipe's drop scores are for Australia, Silverstone, Hungary and Singapore. The points system extends to the top 8 in 2008, so in this scenario we have Hamilton dropping 2 points while Massa drops none. With drop scores in effect, Felipe Massa is the 2008 champion. It looks like that 7th place at Monza is what killed the championship for Lewis. And now for a more tricky one, 2010, where it was something ridiculous like 4 drivers all in a shot of the title come the end of the season. And it's a season where Vettel seemingly snatched it from under everybody's nose right at the death. And it's the first of the 2 seasons where Alonso was pipped at the end that we're going to look at today. As the season extended to 19 races, I've increased it to 6 drop scores, so it's the best 13 races that count. So to save me reading it all out, the drop scores as ever are shown in red, and I've included Vettel, Alonso, Webber, Hamilton and Button in this. Webber's 2nd place in Malaysia hasn't been dropped, it's just a formatting problem. I probably should have just blocked out the ones I'm dropping, but then I need to total up the results. I haven't really thought this through, have I? So the total drops. Vettel drops 14 points, Alonso drops 8 points. Webber drops more than both of them, having 18 points locked off, while Hamilton and Button lose 12 and 14 points respectively. So the final point standings are now on your screen. With drop scores, Fernando Alonso is the 2010 champion with 244 points to Vettel's 242. Webber loses a chunk and drops to 224, while Hamilton is reduced to 228. Button is then dropped down to 200. So not only have the top 2 drivers swapped places, but 3rd and 4th have swapped as well, which I wasn't expecting. I expected a change at the top, maybe, but not any below that. So yeah, that's quite interesting. Okay then, on to 2012, the season of 7 different winners in 7 different races, and probably the season where regulations were perfected in terms of competition, or maybe we just got lucky. It's probably the latter. But anyway, same deal. On your screen is the final championship standings that I'll just copy paste into Paint and add some red boxes to. Now the interesting part here will be to see if Grosjean's pro gamer move at Spa will be a player in this, because as you may have seen, if you drop more 1st and 2nd places, you lose more points. You have a DNF in that group of drops and you lose nothing, and the other guy might lose 25 points because he won so many races. You can see where I'm coming from. So many say that Spa was a turning point because Vettel scored while Alonso didn't, but let's see if Vettel's 2nd place at Spa actually counts towards the drops. It might do, it might not, but you know, 6 drop scores again, this time from 20 races. So Vettel drops Malaysia, Spain, Valencia, Germany, Monza and Brazil. Alonso drops China, Bahrain, Canada, Hungary, Belgium and Japan. Vettel drops 26 points to finish on 255. Alonso drops 28 to finish on 250. So on this occasion, it's not the same changes we saw in 2010 and Vettel keeps his title, but instead of the 3-point gap we saw in reality, the gap goes up to 5. And finally we get to 2016, Hamilton versus Rosberg, but will Rosberg keep his title? Well, that's what we're here to find out. So at the end of the 2016 season, Rosberg was champion by 5 points, but with all the 1s and 2s we see on the top 2 rows on the Wikipedia entry for the the championship standings, it might get a little bit spicy, so time to draw on the table again. This time we've got 21 races, but we're still keeping the same dropped races, 6. So Rosberg drops Spain, Monaco, Canada, Austria, Silverstone and Hungary. Hamilton drops China, Spain, Azerbaijan, Belgium, Singapore and Malaysia. The total dropped points by Rosberg, 61. The total dropped by Hamilton, 46. I wish it was 44. Final point scores for 2016. Hamilton wins on 334, while Rosberg ends on 324. So a 10-point gap, and somehow, even in an alternate reality, Hamilton is a 7-time world champion. The guy's luck is just unbelievable, Jeff. So the old calculator was working overdrive today for this video. My maths, like I said, is terrible, and my mind has been blown by doing all the calculations and things like that. But it has been interesting to see some of these championships actually change hands because of drop scores. Now, if you did find all this as interesting as I found it interesting, you can show that you enjoyed it by clicking the thumbs up button. And if you're not already, get subscribed and click that bell so you never miss out on a future video. Massive thanks as ever go out to the good folk of Patreon for their continued support, and if you do want to leave me a monthly tip, you can do so by following the links in the description. Well, it's just a link to Patreon in the description, but there's also a link for Discord and also some vague directions to my social media down there as well. So until next time, all that's left to say is that I've been Millward. Have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.